Let's discuss GS-3. GS-3 has 6 different sections: economic development, then you go to agriculture, then we discuss the environment, then we talk about the disasters in the environment, then the technology, finally the security. By security here it means internal security. So we'll look at how each of these are further subdivided. The ones in the light green, this and these two sections are covered in prelims, and this whole section, so the light green plus the dark greens, this comes in the mains. Within the the economic development, we have a bunch of different topics: Indian economy, its overview, the issues related to planning, mobilization, and all this. So again, as I was telling in the previous videos, every word is very important. So when we will study this particular topic, we will pay attention to issues relating to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development, and employment. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, this mobilization of resources is just to one element. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5. So all issues related to these 5 elements will be discussed along with the Indian economy. That's how we'll study this topic. Anyways, coming back to the weightage. So in the last 7 years, around 10 questions were asked from this particular section. So it gives me an average of 7%. For this one, there were 6 questions, so an average of 4%. The total will come out to be 100%, obviously, which is equal to 250 marks. The government budgeting was around 7 questions, so it is 5%. And you have land reforms, you have, so now try the questions now, I'll just write the percentages, it is 2%, 5%, this is 1.5%, liberalization is 2%, infrastructure was 3.5%, investment models was 3%, and this covers your first section. So the total comes out to be 11, 16, 17, 21, 23, 26%. So the economic development is 26%. Let's go to agriculture next. Within agriculture, have 3 main sections: the manufacturing, the storage related services and other services, and then the related industries. The primary one goes with 9%, 5%, and 4%. So you can expect, like if you had made any guesses, this would be almost the same. First is this priority, then this, and then this. Both of them together are equal to this. This comes to be around 18%. So total right now we have is 44% has been covered. So you can see as you're proceeding along, it's very well equitably distributed. We have covered almost half of the syllabus, and half of the exam portion has been covered. Let's go to the next one, which is the environment. This entire section comes to be around 14%. 20 questions have been asked on this environment in the last 7 years. Disaster management is 7%. Then we have science and technology. Science and tech has 4%, 4%, and 6%. So the more questions are coming around nanotech, biotech, IPR, IT, space, etc. So compared to these two, there's 6 questions asked, 6 and 8 questions here from the last 6 years. Alright. So again, this total comes out to be 21, 14, This is 35%. Let me write it as sectional percentages: 14%, 7%, and 14%. See, science and tech takes the same amount of space as environment, and these are the sections that will come in prelims. This total comes to be around 35, and our net total has 79%. So finally, the internal security. It's a pretty long section. You have 4% about for linkages, 2% for the external state and non-state actors, 6% for the challenges, 6% for the border related challenges, and these are, so this you see is space domain and this is your time domain of challenges. Both are actually challenges. Again, we will cover each of these in detail when we further explore them. And this is your 1.5%. So in total it comes to be 20, sorry, it comes around 19.5%. So since there's a rounding off happening here, we do not sum up to 100. This comes to be 19.5%. Let me just make it 20%. And overall you're getting 19%. So if we increase this to 2 or these are just rounding errors because we are dividing by 7. We have analyzed the past 7 years. We get some repeating numerals after the decimal, and we round them off. I must have rounded down some of them more than rounding up, so I ended up with 99%. That's not the main focus. The focus is to look at these numbers. So 28%, 18%, 35, and 19. And within 35, we have actually covered 3. Now again, each of the words is very important in the syllabus when we study them. Sometimes you might find that I've done my experience, like one particular topic might be a book in itself. If we're discussing this, it might be a complete 200-page textbook. So you have to take the 200-page textbook, bring it down to one single line. That's the level of summarization required. This one line is part of one exam, which is part of it's part of one paper, which is part of one exam. I can also in the future video we'll have to discuss the sources. For some of these, the sources are very clear. For others, the sources might not be so clear in the first go, and we'll have to do some bit of exploration. For example, if you look at disaster and disaster management, you can read it from the second Administrative Reforms Commission that was held in 2005-6, and I think it's the third report. The third report is on crisis management. So this ARC has a lot of reports, around 12 to 18, I guess. I'm not sure about the exact number, but the third report is on crisis management. And this report covers in detail how disaster and disaster management happens in India. It is basically a set of guidelines that the commission gave to the government, but we can use these guidelines and code them around to make our answers for this. Similarly, if you're looking at the entire economic development section, now if you go by these terms, this is partly covered in NCERT economics books, but it's not in this exact order. You might have to refer to some external websites like Orthopedia and the World Economic Forum. But again, you are not likely to find that kind of structure which we did for history, and as some leeway has been taken. We have to be more smart about what to read, as long as whatever we are reading we can bring it back and hook it to parts of our syllabus, we should be good. If you just keep on reading and wandering without direction, without linking it to your syllabus, then it can be a problem. In future, we'll have videos on economic development, then section-wise videos on each of these, and the same will do for all the others. And I'll try my best to make these videos more interesting, structured, and intuitive. I don't want to just load information out, throw it out, or vomit it in the space and forget about it. I want it to make sense for myself and for the viewers. So ultimately, it's not just the UPSC which is the target, it's also to learn and to understand these subjects. And we're not going to become masters in them. No, that's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to be amateurs who are informed about these subjects. And if we have any subject material, we can understand it, at least at the high levels, and make sense of it.